Hey everybody, it's me, Lance the Undead Viking. I am here to review another game for you. Now every once in a while, well not every once in a while, every year at Essen, there's always kind of talk about games that everybody says are awesome, and this one's awesome, that one's awesome, and there's always something that has a lot of buzz behind it. And this is one of those games. This is a game called Orléans. This is from DLP Games. And I've never, I don't know who this guy is, Rainer Stockhausen, but he is the designer of this game. This game is for 2 to 4 people, and you can play it in about an hour, hour and a half. As everybody who's played it plays it more and more, the game will get faster. The theme of this game is, well, get more points than everybody else. It's a Euro. But no, seriously, the theme of this game is like the city of Orleans, and what you're doing is you are using a variety of different workers that you'll be pulling out of a bag randomly, and you build the bag of your different workers, and so there's a random element of pulling the stuff out. It reminds me of Hyperborea. It reminds me a little bit of Pillars of the Earth. And it's a fun little twist on the process because there's a lot of management of that, and there's ways to thin your bag out, like if you want specific workers and things like that. And so there's all kinds of fun little strategies you can do. But once you do that, you have a player board where you put your workers on there to process different actions, which then have effects on the main board. You've probably played games like this before. And it's really clever, and it's a lot of fun, and it definitely makes me stop and think and try to process what I want to do, and it gives me that kind of befuddled, thinky feeling that I enjoy and what I look for out of a Euro. So why don't I show you how to play the game, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk a little bit more about Orleans. Alright, cool, let's do this. This is the board game Orleans, and the 3 different game boards that you will have when you play. This is the player board, and each person gets their own, but I don't have all the player boards out here. This is the main game board. These are the different tracks. You'll be moving your cubes up as you activate different actions on your player board. This is the city hall, where you will send your workers into kind of like a retirement type of situation. But when they go up here, they give you rewards for doing that. You send your workers away, and you don't ever get them back, but they give you rewards when they get up there. There is also this is the merchant board, where these are your merchants here. They start in the city of Orleans, and they will move along these tracks, either the canals, which are blue, or the roads, which are like kind of a light brownish gray. You activate either ships or wagons to move your merchants, and then when they go across these little paths and they pass through these resources, they can pick those up, which are worth points at the end of the game. Pretty much everything you're doing is you're trying to earn points for the end of the game, and the big ways you earn points are just that. You collect these tokens for points, or you collect these citizens, which are these little tokens here, and if you're the first person to get a cube up to that spot, you get that citizen. You can get a citizen by being the last person to fill in one of these rows. There's all these workers here, right? And so you're sending these people to the city hall. Well, the last person to fill that out gets the citizen in that position. On this track, you can see there are 3 citizens as well. Also, you get big way you get points is by building trading houses on cities within the on that map as well. So I mean, these are all different actions. That's an action on your board over here, the guild house, which allows you to place one of those. But the big function of this game is your workers. And at the beginning of the game, you start with 4 workers, and these are the 4 you start with. And you have a craftsman, a boatsman, a farmer, and a merchant. And what you do is you place all of your workers in your bag like this. And depending upon the level you're at on this red track, which is the night track, it'll tell you how many of those discs you get to withdraw from your bag. And everybody starts out with 4, and everybody's only got 4 discs to start with anyway. And so you have the 4 that you have. And then you put them on your player board on the bottom, and you fill up those circles. And I'm going to move it down here just a little bit so you can actually see those circles. I apologize. And so you can see there are 8 of them. And so at any time you can only have 8. Now when you actually go and do your actions on your turn, you will move these up into these locations that correspond with the colors, and then you'll take that action. You can leave them down there if you want to save them until next round, maybe, and you will end up doing that at some point, because it's not really like a deck building game, it's like a bag building game, but you're kind of hoping to get other combinations of workers that you know that you've purchased and are in this now, and so you're kind of waiting until you get that. There also, when you move these up, there's no penalty for, like, with this craftsman, like, you can move it up to this guild hall and not put a farmer and a knight up there and just wait until, like, that shows up later. But the problem is that you can't ever pull them back. So once you move them up there, they're stuck. And so, but that is also another strategy you can have to free up those spaces. So if you have a bag with, like, say 12 workers in here, and you're drawing 6, or like, let's say you're drawing 8, you got all the way to the top. So you draw 8, and but you move some up there, but, like, you're going to end up putting some back in there, and you're going to draw another 8. Well, you need to get workers off this bottom track and up there, or else you're not going to be able to fill it out again. Because if you can't ever have more than the 8 that's on the bottom, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of bouncing around here a little bit, and I apologize for that. So why don't I actually just slow down a little bit, and I'll tell you exactly how a turn of Orleans will go. So at the beginning of the turn, you'll notice that there's this stack. I apologize, you probably can't see that since I moved it down a little bit. Let me once again move it up, and I do apologize for this. I don't like it, but this is kind of a lot of real estate, and we're kind of running out of room on my table here. But one of the first things that you will do is that you turn over the top card in this, and this is event. Now this is the first event of the game, is always the exact same thing. It is the pilgrimage event, and this basically makes it so you can't recruit a monk when there's a pilgrimage. Now other events that happen will be like taxation, or there'll be a plague or things like that, and then it'll cause you to have to you'll make you have to pay those taxes, or lose a character tile, like an actual worker, out of your bag, things like that. And so they're not. Some of them actually give you money and stuff too, so they're not all bad and they're not all good. But so right at the very beginning, you can't get a monk. That's a pretty benign thing that you start off with. So after you've done that, you will do what's called the census. And now this track up here is the farmers, and whoever is in the lead on the farmer track will get a coin. Who's ever behind, the last person behind, loses a coin. If you are tied either for the lead or for being last, nobody gets anything. So in this situation, like if we had 2 people here and like that, nobody would get a coin because nobody is firmly in the lead, but green would lose a coin. In the situation at the very beginning of the turn, with everybody in the same spot, nobody gets anything. In this situation, green would get a coin, but neither blue or red would have to pay a coin, because of the fact that, once again, nobody is decidedly last. They're tied for last. So that's how that works with the census. You'll notice, and just pointing it out, as you go forward, you'll notice there's these resources up here. When you move your farmer up, you actually do get like that resource, as long as the tiles are still available over there. Those can get used up, and if there aren't any, you just don't get that. After you've done that, that's when you draw your character tiles out of your bag, and then you pick where you're going to put your people. That's what's called the planning phase. Now, there's a couple of schools of thought on the whole planning phase. I'm going to move this up just so you can see it. Anybody can look over and see what you're planning on doing. And I like that, actually, because turn order means something then. Because there's going to be situations where you'll look over and you'll see somebody is going to, like, take a knight. And they're going to be ahead of you, and they're going to get, like, this token. They're going to get their square up there and get that citizen. And, if I'm blue and I'm right there, but yellow goes ahead of me, and I see they're going to do that, well, there's no reason for me to go for the knight, if it is. Now, there is a little bit of a kerfuffle over the situation, because it's like, okay, I'm not going to do the knight. Oh, then Yellow says, I'm not going to do it then. Well, then I'm going to do the knight. Well, then I'm going to do the knight. And so you kind of have that problem a little bit. A couple of my friends have suggested that we play it secret, so you can't see what the other person's planning on doing. I haven't done it like that. I kind of like having it being open knowledge, but I know people have tried it secret, and some people seem to like it, but that's neither here nor there. I play it completely open knowledge, and I just don't play with jerks, and we don't have a situation where it's like, what are you going to do? Well, what are you going to do? So we just do it like that. So after you get done with the planning, that's when you start doing your action. So at the beginning, you just have these 4 starting ones, and like you could go, okay, I'm going to put my craftsman here and my boatman here, and to get the farm, and then I'm going to put my merchant. Let's see here. Well, we'll just put my merchant up here by the wagon, and we'll also go ahead and put my farmer by the... No, actually, you know what? I'm going to put them like that. So hopefully next turn, then I can get my knight. So we're done. And everybody else does their thing. And so one by one, starting with the first player, each person takes an action. And what they do is they take a spot where they have workers that have filled out the spots, and they will then take the workers off and complete the action. Just because you have filled out the spot does not mean that you have to take the action. You can leave your workers on there if you want to. But in this case, I would take these 2 off, like so, bam, and I get a farmer. And so I go over here, and I take a farmer, and I put it with the rest of these, and then I would immediately move my square up a spot on the farmer track, and I would then claim a wheat token. And that would be worth a point at the end of the game if I still had it. Now, after I remove the workers, the first thing I do is I take them, and I put them back in my bag. Now, this isn't like a deck builder where you take everything out of the bag and then finally put everything back in. I could still have tokens in the bag, and you will when you play the game. You will still have tokens in here, and you'll be placing ones back in. The idea is having an idea of what you have in there and kind of playing the odds to make sure you get the worker that you need when you need it. Now, after everybody's done those actions, if the event was something like the plague, where you had to lose a worker and like draw one out of the bag or pay tax, something like that, then you would do the event. In this case, we don't. The pilgrimage just said we couldn't actually get a monk. So like you can get a monk if you use a merchant and a librarian or a script, like I think he's a philosopher, and then that allows you to get a monk. Monks are cool because monks basically can be used as a wild card. They can take any spot, and they can just go in and do anybody else's job. That's why they're powerful. And also over here, when you graduate them into the city hall, they have spaces where they can get you lots of rewards, like 3 coins and things like that. So after you finally resolve all the actions and you resolve the event, then you give the first player marker to the next person, and then you reveal and you start up your next turn, and do everything all over again. Reveal the event, figure out who's in the lead, the census, and process the whole thing over again. So that's how the game works. Now let me just take a few moments to tell you what each of the little spots do, and just so you can have a good idea, and I'll explain how the end game works and how you score your points at the end. So, if you build if you manage to do either, let me move this back up again, I apologize. If you do this is the ship. That allows you to take your merchant and move it along a canal like this and go to the next spot. And then you can take one of the tiles. If there's more than one tile in the row, you get to take one. So in this case, the cheese is worth 2, and this silk or string or whatever is worth 4. So I'd take that one, and I'd leave the other one behind. These tiles are placed randomly at the beginning of the game, and then all the excess is put over there. So there isn't any rhyme or reason to it. You just put the tiles into these little squares where they go at the beginning of the game, and wherever they end up, they end up. Wagon, exact same thing as the river, but you have to take a road. So if yellow used a wagon, they go like this, and they take the wine from that spot. The guild house here, if you do that, that allows you to put a trading post in the spot where your merchant is presently. Once you've placed one in a city, nobody else can place that except for Orléans. Everybody can have one in Orléans, but the other place, only one person can have their house there. The castle, the burg, allows you to get a knight. you move your little guy up the knight track. And up here, probably can't see it, but the knights allow you to draw more tiles, more workers on your bag. So that this allows you to draw 5, that allows you to 6, 7. This gets you a citizen, and that gets you 8. Moving down here, that is the barn. We showed you that. That's the farmer. Over here, it's one of you put these down. You put a craftsman, a boatsman, and a farmer down, and you can get a boatsman, a merchant, or you can get another craftsman. So it's one of those 3. You just get to pick one, and then that's what you get. Over here at the university, you put a farmer, a craftsman, and a merchant down, and that gets you a philosopher or a teacher, which are very powerful because a teacher or a philosopher and a knight can move you up this track down here. And I haven't explained the whole like culture track. That's kind of what it is, and I'll explain that in just a moment. And also the merchant and philosopher, teacher, whatever you want to call it, gets you a monk. Those very powerful monk pieces over in that location. Now, this spot here is the guild house. That's when you place workers up there, and you're basically just sending them to work on this board up here, and you get to take, whenever you put one on there, you get the reward that's in this location. So like in this spot, it's worth 3 coins. That one's worth 2. There's one on the bottom here, and I'm going to make sure you can see it, where you can see there is a coin or a book. So you don't get both, you just pick one. And so like if you put a boatman up there, you get one. You can take a coin or a book depending on what you want to do. Coins are important because they're worth a point at the end of the game, but also you inevitably will be paying taxes. And anytime that you have to pay coins and you can't, you go into what the book calls torture, but it's like bankruptcy, basically. You don't want it to happen because it's nothing good comes from it, because you have to basically start selling off anything that you possibly have to make up for the fact that you couldn't pay your debts. So that is that. Let me just once move this back down again. You can see there's this big long track, and you can see that there's these little stars here, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Those are extremely important because that is your multiplier for your bonus points at the end of the game. So the higher you get up on this row, the better off you're going to be as far as your points go. At the end of the game, after this deck is expired, after you take all the events and they're all gone, that signifies the end of the game. You get 1 point for every coin that you have. You get the value of the goods that you have. Wheat is 1, cheese is 2, wine is 3, the string is 4, and the silk robes here are 5. And then finally, you get for every trading post plus every citizen that you have. And this one bonus citizen that's sitting off to the side that isn't one of those locations, whoever has the most trading posts, not tied with anybody, gets the citizen. But your total trading posts plus citizens times the level, 6, 5, 4, 3, or 2, that's your bonus points. So whoever has the most points at the end then wins the game. Now, there's a couple of tracks that I didn't actually touch on. This track, as you move up on your little scribes here, that increases these little books, increases that. The boatsman, as you increase this, you get coins, and the coins once keeps you out of debt, and also they're worth points at the end of the game. This track here, what it does here, this is the craftsman track. This is actually pretty cool. What it does is it gives you one of these. It's called a technology tile. And when you first get one of these, you have to place it on a spot that is a farmer on your board here, or on a bonus tile, which are right over there, and I'll explain those in a second. After you place the first one on a farmer, then you can place it on anything but a monk location. So when you take these locations, you place it over one, and for the rest of the game, you don't have to put a worker on that. Now, there's two things that you can't do. You can't have more than one technology tile on any one worker spot, so you can't put another one here and just use knights or something like that. And you also, if there's cards over here, these little bonus cards, and I'll show you those in just a second, that only have a single spot. You can't put a technology on a card that has just a single location. You have to actually place it on something that has 2 or more. So finally, this is the merchant row. And there's a 1 with a 1 here, and then a 1, 2, and so the first time you go up there, you get to take any one of these tiles that has the Roman numeral 1 on them. And what these are, they're basically just little spots that you yourself can only use, nobody else can. So like this one, you can get free wine from those stacks over there for when you put a merchant and a farmer on there. And, so, silk and stuff like that. And like here, like in this one, if you take this one, the boatsman can be used for a merchant, a farmer, or a craftsman. So like other roles like that. And those are the level 1 of those. And here are the level 2s, and these are a little bit more powerful. So like a craftsman and a scribe gets you a technology tile. Things like that. So I mean, these things get more powerful. You're kind of your own personal place to put it's the exact same thing as this, but now you can do 4 of them in a turn instead of just 2. So stuff like that, where basically they break the rules a little bit. So there you go. That's Orleans. That's how you play it. As with a lot of strategic Euros, the explanation of the game is simple. Figuring out how to play the game and play it well and win is a completely different thing, and this is one of those nice brain-burning games. So let me go further into why I enjoy this game with my conclusion, and I'll do that right now. I have been in a very thematic game mood lately, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I just got Cthulhu Wars in the mail. But no, seriously, I haven't been playing a lot of cube pushers or Euros, if you will, and I finally had a very dear friend by the name Maggie Bot, if you follow her on YouTube. She was lucky enough to go to Essen, and she actually picked up a copy of Orleans for me there because I had heard about it and I heard the buzz. And of course, she had a lot of it shipped back, and it took its sweet time getting here. So I only had the game for a couple of weeks, even though it's been out for a while. And and I was really excited to play it, and it has a couple of things that I really enjoy. First of all, the rules are surprisingly well done. I mean, I'm always a little bit tentative when, like, I'm getting a game that's, like, the first print run, and, like, it's probably geared maybe towards more of a German audience. But the English rules that are included in the game are really straightforward. And yes, the tiles and everything were German, and I'm sure that the English version of this game, when it comes out, will be English. But I mean, they made the rules very, very simple, and they explained each tile very well in English, so there's no like loss of the rules there. So this is one of those games that after you play one round, it clicks for you, and you know exactly what you're going to do. As a matter of fact, like, there's a certain point when, like, people just kind of when they're doing their own little process on their own player board, as long as there wasn't anything where it was going to impede on somebody else, like, oh, I'm going to take the last tile that you need or something like that, we just said, everybody just process it, just do it. And that's one of the things that I like. A lot of times with Euros, like with analysis paralysis and things like that, when you're like, oh, let me watch you do your turn, okay, watch me do my turn, stuff like that, it really bogs the game down. And there's only so much you can do to, like, be excited about watching somebody, okay, now I get a wine tile, and now I move up this, and I collect 3 coins. Can I have my 3 coins, please? Okay, thank you. You're just like, oh, yeah, jeez, I so want to break my rule about not having a cell phone at the table at this point. But, so the fact that you can kind of just process your turns at the same time, this game clicks by. Now, that does not mean it's simple by any means. This game is so aggravating, and in a good way. I mean, when I say it's aggravating, it isn't like it's like bad rules or bad components or clunky mechanisms or anything like that. It's just like, it's when you're pulling your workers out of your bag, and you just desperately need like a boatman or something, and you're like, come on, let me get that tile. Dang it, I can't do anything with these idiots. I can't do anything with this pull that I just had. Or when you have a plague and like you pull your monk out, and you're like, son of a, you know, just like it has all those wonderful like things that happen during the game that you know drive me nuts. You know, and it's just, but in a good way. It challenges me to have a strategy, but then just I could have the most perfect idea. Okay, this game I'm going to focus on taking boatmen, and I'm going to make sure I move my merchant around a lot to all those canals. That's going to be my goal. And then, but if I don't pull the right stuff out of the bag to like do that, then I can just kiss that plan goodbye, and it's out the window. You know, it's been tough. It's been tough for me to lock down a strategy for this one, and I think that's a good thing. I think there's way too many Euros out there that. Well, let me back up a step. I'm an exploratory gamer, and what I mean that is like I really enjoy the learning process of the game, figuring out how the different things fit together. And what's the best fit, and figuring out that best fit. That's what I like doing. Once I've kind of figured out that best fit, or, you know, I'm pretty sure that, like, I mean, yeah, I could tweak it a little bit or do this, that, and the other thing. But once I figure out, like, you know, pretty much that's what I need to do, my interest in the game just goes away. Now, that doesn't mean that a game that, like, I've done, like Russian Railroads, when I kind of click that game together for me, you know, I had still gotten a good 15 plus plays out of it. So that's still, in my mind, a pretty good game. But I'm just probably never going to play a game like that again, because I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in playing a game with somebody else that knows exactly what to do. I know exactly what to do. Okay, let's sit down and play and see who can, you know, get the right little moment and the right little turn of the card and the thing. You know, it's just, that doesn't excite me. I don't want to battle with somebody for, you know, 60 to 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever, just so I can say, oh, I squeaked away with that 5-point win, you know, because my die came up to 5, or I got the right card pulled at the exact right moment that I needed it. I don't like that. I like games that have enough gears moving, enough randomness, enough, I don't want to say luck, but enough chaos. I like that word better. Enough chaos that I can't just lock in on my plan and hope to win. I have to be always changing, always altering, always modifying the process that I'm trying to pull off if I'm going to have a chance to win. And I lose, mostly, but I enjoy that process so much more than a game that I've figured out. And I don't see myself figuring out Orléans in a long, long, long time. And that is a very, very good thing. So, there you go. That is Orléans. If you have any questions about the game, please ask away. You know, and even this kind of really horrible cover art, in my opinion, it's just like, ugh. I mean, no, I mean, I guess it suits it. I mean, I get the impression that, like, because of the big chunky outline, like they're like puppets. That's look at that. That's what I see when I see that. They should have sticks on the bottom and somebody's moving them back and forth, you know, and putting on a show for me. That's what I see when I see that. But whatever. Who cares what the box looks like? The game's awesome. So, thank you as always for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.